Mr. Man has a widescreen TV. Mr. Man's emails don't bounce. Mr. Man has a BlackBerry provided to track his accounts. But Mr. Man feels no need to change his feelings about who is strange. Mr. Man likes church songs that rock. Mr. Man's wife has a career. Mr. Man's kids like hip-hop. Mr. Man likes Mexican beer. But Mr. Man feels no need to change his feelings about who is strange. Maybe Mr. Man doesn't even remember his daddy laughing about the Klan, the colored guy disappearing one December, how it happened that his grandpa bought all that good land so cheap and had that little store to keep. Maybe Mr. Man no longer knows he heard Mr. Thurman's rants, sitting listening to the radio about Africans with no pants that the white men raised up good, at least as far as they could. Maybe Mr. Man's not now aware, being told he was superior, that dark skin and kinky hair were a sure sign of inferior, that those ones were not his kind because he had a sharper mind. One thing sure, right up to the hilt, Mr. Man feels no guilt. One thing sure, right up to the hilt, you can ask him, he feels no guilt. One thing sure, right up to the hilt, there's no reason he should feel any guilt. One thing sure, right up to the hilt, there's no reason for his people to feel guilt. One thing sure, no guilt. Guilt never enters his mind. Even if he happens to not avoid in time the picture of a lynched black man, and he knows his people, his kin, did this kind of thing, guilt never enters his mind. There's not room for guilt in a mind filled with excuses, full of government abuses, of stories of those that refuses to be of any uses because welfare is what they chooses. It's not our fault, not even the nooses. Guilt is never allowed to enter his mind. Mr. Man has a widescreen TV. Mr. Man's emails don't bounce. Mr. Man has a BlackBerry provided to track his accounts. And no one pushes Mr. Man to change his contempt for what to him is strange. Mr. Man likes church songs that rock. Mr. Man's wife has a career. Mr. Man's kids like hip-hop. Mr. Man likes Mexican beer. And no one pushes Mr. Man to change his contempt for what to him is strange. And then one day, far away, he hears someone say something about a black president. Now, Mr. Man trusts the president, the man in war, to lead. And he also knows the president will provide the subsidies he needs to keep his nice white neighborhood fortified and guaranteed. Now, Mr. Man and the president, they've always been real tight, because Mr. Man is a manly man, takes care of his family right, and the only one he can stand above him is strong and mighty white. And then, one day, far away, he hears someone say something about a black president. And then it actually happens. And he feels mighty uneasy, but it isn't guilt. And he feels mighty uneasy, but it isn't all those tales his daddy told. And he feels mighty uneasy, but it couldn't be fear that the tables have turned. And he feels mighty uneasy, so it must be rage. so it must be rage. And why is he so angry? Since people want to drink, there are 1,000 kinds of beer. Since people want to romance, there are songs that say, "I love you, dear." And when people want to rage at someone, there'll be lots of lies for them to hear. Obama is a socialist. He wasn't born with us. He got elected by acorn. He smells like asparagus. When people feel that rage inside just rise, someone will find them appropriate lies. Especially when that rage can be pumped to help a rich son of a to get his toxics dumped without a hitch, keep his taxes low so the poor man pays, and not have to change his corporate ways. When they see that rage inside just rise, they will find and broadcast the appropriate lies. They will say that Klan talk is modern and rocks. They will say what they need to, clever as a fox, though they think the Mr. Mans are just ignorant slobs. They will give them a Limbaugh, a Beck, and a Dobbs. And remember, there is no guilt involved. As Mr. Man keeps getting crazier every day, he has a black president. No, it's all about facts. We report, you decide. We have the facts. No one has lied. And a quiet, rational guy from Hawaii that went to Harvard and married into a respectable Chicago family really has turned into a raving socialist who somehow has been granted the power, not even available to Nixon or Clinton or Bush, to take the country straight to hell, do not pass go. Why should there be, buried deep inside the rage and resentment underneath the lies upon lies, any guilt? Why should 400 years of treating a people as subhuman while proclaiming the gospel of Jesus lead to any guilt? I resent that. You're insulting us. The news has proved he smells like asparagus. You do have to wonder, isn't it painful to believe that your own country has elected an insane terrorist from Kenya who is imposing socialism? Oh, it hurts. It hurts, all right. It hurts until you might go blind. But nothing could hurt Mr. Man as much as looking into his own mind. But nothing could hurt Mr. Man as much as looking into his own mind. Mr. Man has a widescreen TV. Mr. Man's emails don't bounce. Mr. Man has a BlackBerry provided to track his accounts. But Mr. Man feels no need to change his feelings about who is strange. Mr. Man likes church songs that rock. Mr. Man's wife has a career. Mr. Man's kids like hip-hop. Mr. Man likes Mexican beer. But Mr. Man feels no need to change his feelings about who is strange. And nothing could hurt Mr. Man as much as looking into his own soul.